How much money do you need before getting financial advice? Welcome to Tea at Taxevity, where you get insights from insiders who make life better, our many clients and friends. I'm Pramod Sharma, the actuary at the Taxevity Insurance Advisory. When I'm not doing interviews, I help people protect their most valuable asset, themselves, with the risks they can transfer with insurance. Our guest today is Joe Barbieri. Welcome, Joe.
Well, hi, how are you?
I'm great. What do you do when you're not being interviewed?
I do financial plans. I'm a fee-for-service planner under the company Joe the Investor.
Today we're talking about how much money people need before they can get financial advice. Now, what if I have no money? What kind of advice can I get?
Well, the typical answer to this would be no money, no advice. Now I say the word typical because there's a few options. So if you go to an institution, a bank, an insurance company, a mutual fund company, investment company, and you say, well, I don't have any money, but I'd like to get a plan.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say, well, get out. They'd say it in a much nicer way, but
Yes.
because the plan has product embedded in it, and the product has investment fees embedded in that,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing's paid for by the investment fee. So if you have no money, all those fees are going to be zero, and they'll say, well, we can't really do much for you.
Right, because they're giving you free advice because you're paying for it in what you're buying, and if you're not buying anything, then they realize that they can't provide real free advice.
That's right.
Okay, now suppose someone does have some money, I don't know, say $10,000 up to $500,000. What options would they have?
So now someone like that going to the institution, so they would ask you, well, how much are you thinking about, how much money do you have available to invest?
Mm-hmm.
I have $10,000. Okay, well, so-and-so in the branch can help you with that. The customer service person, the financial services person, they have different names, but
Right.
essentially they're investments people. And the first layer of defense is the bank's mutual funds, because you can put any amount in them from zero to millions if you want.
Right.
And they're very easy to buy because that's the assumption is if you're already going to that bank, you already have an account there, you're already in their database, and so this is an extension of your day-to-day checking account, savings account, mortgage payment, credit card. So you're already there. You say, oh, well, so-and-so knows about investments, just ask them and we'll pick some funds and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Now as you move up, so you get to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, there's more products. Some funds have minimums.
Okay.
So like the fund itself has a minimum, like 50,000, 10,000. Most of them are very low minimums.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, a lot of them do monthly plans where you just put so much every month, $40 a month, $20 a month, $100.
Right.
And then you build up. But some of them have higher thresholds. So as you get further and further, you get more choices.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, for example, GICs, some of them have higher premiums.
Higher
Or
higher returns?
thresholds.
Higher thresholds, okay.
So if you have $100,000 in a GIC, you can get a higher rate,
Okay, they're tiered.
or you can get a different version of it. So as the money rises, the options rise.
Okay, now suppose you have, say, $500,000, which is sometimes considered to be high net worth. Then what kind of options are available then?
So now that level, so they'll ask you, how much do you have? Well, it's about $500,000. Okay. And at that level and higher, you can get customized advice where you can sit with somebody and they do the whole plan, the investments, the budgeting. Well, if you have $500,000, they probably won't talk about budgeting very much. It'll be more about taxes, investment, retirement, allocation risk, that, growing your money. But you'll get to see somebody who does that, and you'll have a lot more options. So other companies' products, sometimes insurance products, different investment like private equity or commodities, or these so-called advanced products, which for someone with $10,000, they usually don't get into that.
Right.
Because the risk isn't there, or the diversification isn't there, or the fees are expensive or something. But when you get to that higher level, you can start adding 2% in Chinese fund, specialty fund, 2% in gold, 3% in oil. So there's more of that they can get into. So at that level is where you get the full-blown advice and product stable.
Okay, now what about people who want to do things themselves? Is that another option that they should consider?
So there is a group of people like that, the couch potato followers, the people that read, they do courses and read books and experiment. And so let's say you're going into the institution with $10,000 and there's not many options, it's just 20 funds and go ahead and pick.
Right.
And you're saying, well, maybe I should explore this a bit more. So you decide to go home and find out, how to invest. So you start reading the popular writers and the blogs and different books and watch videos, maybe do a course, the CSC course or the mutual fund course or something, and you get an idea. And then you just start trying things.
Right, because no one cares about your money more than you do, so that looks like it makes sense.
Yes, well, exactly. Now, what happens with that method is you tend not to know a lot of things, because if you're in the industry, that's different, because you've already studied it and you work in it and you're already exposed to it and you have connections in it. But a lot of people are not in that boat. They're doing whatever they do in the day, and then this money's on the side. So they have to learn all of this, and with the learning and experiment comes losses, failures.
Because there's trial and error, and error is part of that process.
And error in money terms is loss or risk. They are both used interchangeably, but the problem with risk is that it leads to loss. Otherwise, who would care about it? So you try this stock and it goes down, and you say, oh, well, that's not very good. Let's try this one. Oh, that went down. Oh, that's not very good. Well, this one went up. Okay, well, that was good, but I'm only hitting 1 out of 3. So then you're like, is there a better way? And you start looking at other options. So yes, there are people that do that. You can do it, but it's a very inefficient way to do it.
So you reach a point where you might want to ask an expert for help.
Yes, so I know for, the people I've seen, and even myself, I started as a do-it-yourselfer, and you go through all these trial and errors, because there's all these different methods and techniques, and there's so many companies and this and that and the other. And then you get to a point of, I want to make this easier, smoother, and I want to make more money at it. So then you start looking for other kinds of help. So you've tried the institution, they said, well, you need more money before we can do the full-blown help. But if you're not there yet, then it becomes, another option is money coaching.
Okay, and what does a money coach do?
So the name actually is pretty indicative of what they do. So think of it as a personal trainer for your finances.
Okay.
They'll motivate you. They'll talk about your habits, psychology. They'll do things like budgeting and day-to-day. And they'll empower you to handle your money the way you want to.
Okay.
And they tend to stay with you as you do it, the way a personal trainer would stay with you in your routine.
Okay, now suppose I now know how to do budgeting and I've got a good psychology about money, then where would I go next?
So another avenue for that is fee-for-service planning. So this is advice, without a limit of how much money you have and without selling of product.
Okay, so for instance, if I don't have a lot of money right now, but I'm going to have more money later, then I can't do much at the bank, but I could get help from a fee-only financial planner.
That's right. Because you're paying for the work and the knowledge, and you can come in with negative $500,000. I owe everybody money, and I want to find a way out.
Then how would they pay their planner?
Well, this is kind of the joke. Like, well, if I don't have the money, I can't pay you.
I guess they just add to their debt.
But it's like saying, well, how do you pay for your bills? You're still gonna have bills even if you owe. Or how do you buy your food? Or how do you pay for your gas? Or so it has to be prioritized. Is this service worth spending that money? Because it'll pay off eventually. If that's what you believe, then you don't mind, and you'd add it to your debt initially. But as the savings comes in, and your money is it does better for you, you'll see the value in it. So that's how you can justify it.
Okay, that's interesting, because we know that when people have lots of money, they have lots of choices, but it turns out there are choices for people who don't have much money, and even choices for people who are in the hole.
That's right. And the default system, if you will, doesn't talk about that. They just assume that you have money.
Right.
But you can't assume it, because a lot of people don't have money, or they don't have it now.
Mm-hmm.
They may have it later. But you have to get to that later on your own.
Right. And
Once you reach that threshold later, then it's, okay, you're ready now. You've got a few $100,000. Now we can talk. Because now we have options for you. But to go from negative 300, and I mean the average person will go to school, have a huge student loan,
right,
buy a house, have a big mortgage, buy a car, have a lease, have a car loan. So they're starting out in the hole because you buy everything at the beginning. Then as you work and you start to come back out.
And those people still need help, because they may make bad choices that will cause them even more harm when they're trying to do good things overall.
So yes, so there's a big need for, how do I manage that student debt? How do I manage the car loan? How do I manage the first home? How do I manage the utilities while I'm starting up? And there's a lot of value added in that.
Okay, what's your key message for our audience today?
Well, you don't need to have money to get financial advice.
Okay, and that's very valuable to know. What's the best way for people to reach you?
So, well, my website is easy to remember, joetheinvestor.ca, and my email is similar idea, joetheinvestor.today@gmail.com, and I also have a phone number on the website, and I'm on all the social media sites, so the Contact Us page on the website has all the avenues.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for dropping by, Joe.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us for Tea at Taxevity. The Taxevity Insurance Advisory helps you understand insurance and bridges gaps in your coverage. There's no premium for peace of mind. How healthy is your insurance?